New today, Chief Justice John Roberts has confirmed the draft opinion first published last night by Politico is authentic. Roberts says he has directed the marshal of the court to launch an investigation into the source of the leak.
Today, President Joe Biden was asked if he believes the U.S. Senate should do away with the filibuster to codify Roe. He says he's not prepared to make that call. In the meantime, Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz argues the decision should be up to elected lawmakers, not the Supreme Court.
So the idea that we're going to make a judgment that is going to say that no one can make the judgment to choose to abort a child based on a decision by the Supreme Court, I think goes way overboard.
I think the right outcome is to overturn Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade was wrong the day it was decided. It was 7 unelected lawyers who declared to the American people that the voters no longer have the right to make decisions about abortion.
The 1973 Supreme Court decision guarantees a woman's right to an abortion at the federal level.
Several states, including Alabama, Texas, and Kentucky, have passed laws restricting access. A complete ban is possible if the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. And we have team coverage for you today. 12 News reporter Brittany Schaefer standing by with more on the investigation into that leak, which is rare but not unheard of.
But first, let's send it over to Anita Buffoni live in Providence with local reaction. Anita?
Well, Shannon and Mike, no matter the outcome at the Supreme Court, abortions will still be legal in Rhode Island because of a law codifying that right in 2019. But now pro-choice advocates are pushing for more abortion right protections here in Rhode Island. Some Rhode Island Democratic lawmakers say they saw the writing on the wall 3 years ago.
There's been really a full-fledged assault on Roe v. Wade since it came into being, and so the eventual overturning is not something that I'm surprised about.
That's why Senator Dawn Oyer and others pushed to pass the Reproductive Privacy Act, a bill signed into law by then-Governor Gina Raimondo. In effect, this means no change to Roe v. Wade will have any impact in the Ocean State. Governor Dan McKee reacting via Twitter to the leaked SCOTUS opinion, saying Rhode Island will always protect a woman's right to choose and the state will not go backwards on reproductive rights. Southern New England's chapter of Planned Parenthood says now's the time to go a step further and protect more abortion rights in Rhode Island.
There's still more work to be done in Rhode Island. There's an opportunity to end abortion bans that currently exist in Rhode Island that prohibit nearly 1 in 3 residents from using their health insurance to cover the abortion.
Rhode Island's Right to Life group sent 12 News a message they put out to their pro-life supporters, saying in part, now is an opportune time for everyone in the pro-life movement to double down in prayer, in fasting, and in giving witness to the goodness and truth and beauty of life by continuing to serve mothers and families in need. The final opinion from the Supreme Court is expected to be released this summer. Now, a rally is planned at 8 o'clock tonight here outside the State House to support a bill that would allow insurance companies to cover the cost of an abortion, something Governor Dan McKee said he'd be proudly to sign into law if passed by the General Assembly. Live at the State House, I'm Anita Buffoni, 12 News.
Thank you, Anita. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is not hiding her displeasure with the Supreme Court opinion, saying she's angry, upset, and determined.
The Democrat argues that a majority of Americans do not want the law overturned.
69% of people across this country, red states and blue states, old people and young people, want Roe versus Wade to maintain as the law of the land. We need to do that. And we have a right. Extremists, we've heard enough from the extremists, and we're tired of it. Thank you.
As you can see, a crowd of pro-life protesters surrounded Senator Warren as she spoke, one of them calling her stance, quote, despicable.
As we've reported, Chief Justice John Roberts confirmed the draft is real, but he is now directing the marshal of the court to investigate, calling the leak an egregious breach of trust. 12 News reporter Brittany Schaefer spoke to a law professor about the Supreme Court process. She joins us now live in studio with how rare this revelation is. Brittany?
Well, Mike, the leak has already caused the heated debate to intensify. Historically, minor details have been disclosed to the public, but this is the first time in modern history a draft opinion of this magnitude has been leaked.
An unknown source takes the lid off a Supreme Court draft to overturn abortion rights, causing nationwide protests and uproar to overflow.
There's a very strong culture within the court not to leak inside information. That's why it's so unprecedented.
The unprecedented revelation is the first time a draft decision has been disclosed publicly while the case is pending. The draft opinion is not final and could look different during the final vote, but at this point, Politico is reporting a 6-3 supermajority in favor of overturning the 1973 Roe v. Wade case. Roger Williams University law professor Jared Goldstein tells me the almost 5 decades old case, paired with the ongoing heated topic, makes this unlike any leak in history.
A full-blown draft opinion before a case has been released in one of the most important cases of the decades, I think it will cause huge turmoil within the court.
Goldstein says this undermines the trust between justices and all court staff.
The justices know that the decision is going to cause a firestorm of protest. They know that people are going to be very angry about it, that they know there's going to be a lot of reaction to it. So the fact that there's some reaction now, to the leaked opinion, I seriously doubt is going to change their minds about what they're going to do.
And Professor Goldstein tells me while he doesn't believe the leak will change the vote, it could cause the final opinion to be toned down. That final vote traditionally comes at the end of June. Coming up new at 6, what Goldstein has to say about a potential motive to reveal the draft opinion. For now, live in studio, I'm Brittany Schaefer, 12 News.